So I'm in Shanghai right now because Vivo's flown us out here to check out some of the cool things that they're going to launch in MWC in Shanghai. But before all of that, I actually have something pretty cool to check out. It's a smartphone, and it's this, the Vivo iQOO, or just iQOO. And the reason it's interesting isn't because it has a funky new name. Oh no, because this smartphone actually looks like a seriously good bang for buck Vivo flagship device. Let's check it out. I know, Vivo making an affordable smartphone, that's not something you see every day, but the iQOO definitely has a lot of the hallmarks for a really good budget smartphone. I mean, just look at the specs of this smartphone. So this device is designed to be a pretty high-end device in terms of performance. So up front, you've got a 6.41-inch Full HD Plus display, which I mean has pretty slim bezels and is like very 2019 in that sense. Then inside, it's powered by a Snapdragon 855 processor, which is the best processor Qualcomm makes, that you can pair with up to 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. Then there's also the iQOO, I think it's called the iQOO Monster, that has 12 gigs of RAM, so it's definitely not lacking in the performance department. It's also got a large 4000 mAh battery so that you can use it and expect pretty solid battery life. While I wasn't able to confirm Vivo's battery life claims because of the limited time that I had with the phone, I can say that the iQOO is a very solid performer when it comes to getting stuff done. I didn't get any lag spikes or run into any performance issues while I was putting the phone through its paces. Even when I ran intensive games, the phone ran like butter. But I guess that shouldn't be surprising since Vivo claims this phone benches over 400,000 points in Antutu. I also like the way the phone feels in the hand. Yes, Vivo goes a little more down the flamboyant path with the design, but the device is nicely weighted and has a premium feel to it thanks to the glass back and chamfered sides. Plus, I don't think the design is too in your face, so the fact that it's a gaming phone which isn't garish means that it gets a plus in my books. And then there's the camera, which it's not like they really skimped on it or anything, but I mean, it's not super impressive on paper. Okay, fine, I'll admit that. It's a 12 megapixel main shooter with a 13 megapixel ultra wide angle shooter plus a 2 megapixel third camera for depth effect. So it's a triple camera setup at the back, but you don't have a telephoto camera. But honestly, I think among all the dual/triple camera setups, the one that I'm most willing to give up is the telephoto, so I definitely prefer the ultra wide. In front, you've got a 12 megapixel selfie shooter, which I mean, honestly, all the cameras front and back seem to take pretty good photos from my initial impressions. So I've been around Shanghai, sort of shooting about a couple of daylight shots, a couple of night shots. They look pretty decent, so that's a good thing. I am a little disappointed that the ultra wide camera isn't able to access night mode for better low light performance, but beyond that, the iQOO has a serviceable camera at worst, and when it comes to a phone like this, that's all you really need. That's because the camera plays second fiddle to what the iQOO is really about. You see, this phone is supposed to be a gaming phone. But it's not a gaming phone in the sense that it's just like, oh, look at me, I have a lot of specs, therefore I'm a gaming phone. No, that's because... Wait, hang on. You see, the iQOO is a lot like the ROG phone in this sense because you see at the top of the smartphone, there are actually two buttons here that are actually capacitive, I believe. Trigger buttons. So they function when you play a video game, you know, you can use this to trigger. So I was playing like this PUBG clone, I think it's a PUBG clone, the other day on this smartphone. You can actually use it to trigger stuff like aim down sight and fire, which honestly does a lot to add to this smartphone's credibility of being a gaming smartphone. So it's not just like, oh, just because I have a flagship processor and a lot of RAM and a lot of storage doesn't mean I'm a gaming phone. This actually has gaming-centric features, which I think is really cool. And they work really well too, surprisingly well in fact. I tested the ROG phone's air triggers way back when, and those were always a little harder to trigger than I would have liked. On the iQOO, the shoulder buttons are almost perfectly weighted. They're super easy to accurately hit, and you can remap them to touch a specific section of the screen so they're endlessly customizable based on your game and needs. So at this point, it started raining pretty heavily, and since I didn't want to get Alex's camera wet, I decided to just chuck it into my Green Room 136 bag. But I also took this opportunity to test out the iQOO's video recording capabilities. So here's some sample footage shot with the iQOO on our little tour through the iQOO Garden, I think it's called, in Shanghai. Video stabilization definitely isn't a strong point here when you're shooting in 4K, and the fact that I couldn't find a setting to turn on IS makes me wonder if iQOO even has stabilization built in at all. Besides that, the details look good in 4K even if the phone has a tendency to clip highlights. Let's just say that the iQOO won't be winning any medals in the video recording department. But like I said earlier, that's not what the iQOO is about. The iQOO is about performance and bang for buck, and when you look at it that way, the phone is hard to fault. Except I am going to fault it for one thing, and that's its Android skin. I hate FunTouch OS so much. It's definitely one of my top 5 least favorite Android skins, and that's because I love the way Android looks and works right now. It's clean, functional, and aesthetically pleasing in a very modern sort of way. But when you use FunTouch, you don't get a sense of that at all. It feels and looks like the dark ages of Android skinning, where manufacturers tried their hardest to make it look like an iOS ripoff. It's cartoony and can be awkward to use, which just ruins the experience of this otherwise solid smartphone. And that to me feels like a travesty. But maybe that won't matter at all because this phone isn't officially available in Malaysia. So even though it's priced at about 1,800 ringgit for the variant with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, here in China, we may never see it launch locally. And maybe the fact that you can't buy a phone that's this good at what it's designed to do, maybe that's the real travesty here. But those are my first impressions of the Vivo iQOO, or just iQOO. What do you guys think of this smartphone? Let me know in the comments below. Before I end this video though, I actually asked a bunch of you in our Facebook group RKMD, which you should totally join by the way. We have a lot of cool discussions and giveaways there, so you can join us in the discussion in the link in the video description. But anyway, back to the point is I asked you what you would like to know about the Vivo iQOO, and I hope I answered a lot of it in this video, but in case I didn't, I'm going to go through the questions now and sort of answer them right here. Is it a global set or MY set? Well, the one that I have is the Chinese set. I don't believe there is a global or Malaysian set just yet, so this is straight out of China. How to pronounce the name? It's pronounced iQOO, so like iCool, but without the L. iQOO, apparently, yeah. Pop-up front camera. No, it's not a pop-up front camera. There's actually like a little notch at the top, so it's like a Mi 9 in that sense. Is the Color OS skin really that bad? The Vivo iQOO doesn't run on Color OS, that's Oppo's thing. It runs on FunTouch OS, and since it is one of my major cons in this video about this smartphone, yeah, I don't like it, but you know, your mileage may vary. Does it come in black? I'm not sure if that's a Batman reference, but if you're really curious about the color, I don't believe it comes in black. There's like a blue version and like a bronze version. So I have the blue version. The bronze version looks really good though, I have to say. Can I suggest after 1 month every new phone issues? I think you're asking about whether the phones come with any issues after 1 month. Unfortunately, I don't get to spend that much time with phones like these. Like I had less than a day mostly with this smartphone, so I can't tell you of any issues, but so far so good, no issues whatsoever. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for your questions. Once again, you know, join us at RKMD on Facebook. It's a lot of fun. And for this video though, this is where I'm going to end it. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to us, click on the notification bell icon, you know, all that good stuff. Until next time, I'll see you. Bye!